dear brothers, a great responsibility has been bestowed upon us, and that's to do the fikir for everybody on the face of the world. So, our responsibility covers all people in the world. And how can we perform anything towards that kind of responsibility? I mean, which has this much breadth. The breadth is covers the whole world. So how is that possible? This means that a person in Australia, a person in South Africa, a person in Spain, in uh, in China, they all fall within the scope of our responsibility. So how is it possible that we convey to all these people? But that is made our responsibility, right? Now, this responsibility is bestowed upon us by Allah. So it there must be a way Allah has kept open for us to fulfill the responsibility. It can't be the case that He has given us the responsibility, but there is no way to fulfill that. He didn't keep any way open to fulfill that, right? It can't be the. It's not. That's not possible. So, but how is it possible that we convey to, I mean, our uh, effort takes an impact over the whole world? How is that possible? What do you think? How is it possible? Can you answer anything? Okay, okay, let me answer. How we can, I mean, fulfill our responsibility of everywhere in the world. Okay, the all the four corners of the world. Okay. It's like, okay, now the answer is very simple. If you just note our earlier discussions, well, the I mean, spreading everywhere in the world is not something we can do. Spreading hidayah everywhere, okay? Allah will do that. It's not people can do. I can't even convey, I mean, I can't give hidayah. Well, even Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam used to say that I only distribute. Allah gives hidayah. Okay. So, I even, uh, in the case of my brother, it's Allah who is going to give hidayah. Okay. So, the first part of the kalima says that it's Allah who will give. And the second part of the kalima says what we need to do. Okay. So that solves the problem. We just have to do whatever Rasulullah did and his Sahaba did. I mean, the effort they taught and doing that effort in the method they taught, the amal they did, and in the way they did. Okay, so it's actually we just have to check what Sahaba did. Just the same method we need to use and do the effort. That's it. So it's very simple. The impact will be worldwide. Allah has given us the responsibility to convey everywhere in the world, and He will do that if we just do my job. Okay, like when we sow a seed. Okay, that's the simple thing we need to do. We do that. That's our job, and Allah uh, creates the whole tree. Okay, this seed grows, so that's the growth, everything, and it grows to the full extent, the big tree that Allah does, and all the benefits gives to people. Okay, even the birds who sit on the tree, okay, for that Allah gives benefit to the person who sowed the seed. Okay, so he gets all the benefit, even the person who gets the shade. Okay, or who enjoys the fruit, whatever. The person who sowed the seed gets all the benefit. But what he did, very simple. That's his action taught. Okay, so whatever taught, it may be simple, but he just has to do that, and Allah will do the great thing. Okay, the whole rest, and give benefit to the person who has done the simple thing. Okay, so it's just our responsibility to do the efforts in the way Sabra did or Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam did and taught, and I mean following that method uh, properly, and then Allah will give. So that is why, when Ilyas Rahmatullahi first stood up with the Sahaba method, he had he could realize that it would very shortly spread the whole world. So he was planning for Nijamuddin Markaz. Okay, uh, I mean I'm talking about the period when it was not. I mean before it was built. So he was planning how it might be built. I mean which place would be reserved for people from which country, this place from these countries, or this part of the world, this place. Okay, a structure for people from this part of the world. So this way he was planning, and then some people commented that this old guy has got had got crazy. Okay, I mean the local people are not listening to him, and he is expecting that people from many different parts of the world would come here for this activity. How is that possible? This old guy, बुड्ढे का दिमाग खराब हो गया, as they commented. This old guy has got crazy. But he knew very well that that would happen, because he had stood up with the effort of Sahaba. I mean, effort which has the method of Sahaba. So that method has that impact, okay, impact worldwide. So that would happen anyway. But if we look at the period in between the between the first stage and the age when it was again revived, it was revived by Ilyas Rahmatullah. Within this period, many great saint people or devout people, they did lot of efforts, and their impact sometimes could spread beyond their countries. Okay, maybe in 2 3 countries their followers could be found. Okay, that was the extent of the spreading of their activity, was pretty much like that. But it was never worldwide, never. Okay, in all these hundreds of years, no matter how great that devout person was, for nobody the effort spread that much. Okay. It was just at the maximum a few countries. But in the case of Ilyas Rahmatullahi, he stood up and with the firm belief that it would spread worldwide. It's only because he knew that he stood up with something which the people, the devout people in the Middle East didn't stood up with. Okay, didn't stand up with. Okay, rather he had stood up with, uh, I mean, with the Sahaba, the method of Sahaba radiallahu anhu. Okay, now let me also mention that this effort actually has got a maturity at this period. I mean, full maturity, full maturity. In fact, the whole Deen has got full maturity, and the efforts of Deen is a part of Deen. That's how these efforts of Deen has also got full maturity. Deen has been uh, Deen has been being sent down uh, from the period of Adam alayhi salam. Right? One after another, different prophets came with Deen, and Deen was growing over all this period. I mean, right from the beginning of human being, uh, and gradually it was getting more and more mature. The commandments in Deen was getting more and more mature over time. So the prophet of a later period used to bring a Deen which was more mature compared to what the prophet of earlier period had brought. Okay, it's exemplified in a way that when a child grows, okay, gradually he he needs a different size for his clothes. Right? As he grows, the older size doesn't fit in any longer. Okay? So he needs a bigger size. He needs a bigger size. As he keeps growing, he needs a bigger and bigger size. But at some point of time, he gets to a uh, age. Okay, he settles a size which does not change any further. So that runs the rest of his life. So that's the mature stage. Okay. So similarly, in the case of previous prophets, Deen was getting more and more mature. The commandments were getting, I mean, it was the set of commandments was changing, and it was getting more and more mature. But at the time of Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, it got to the full maturity level, and that will not change until the doomsday, the day of Qiyamah. It doesn't need to change. It has got full maturity. That's why, I mean, at the time of Hajj of Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, the verse came down that today Deen has been made complete. Okay, so even in the period of Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, Deen was actually getting more and more mature. It got the complete stage at on that day. Okay, after which Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam survived just couple of months. So almost at the end of his period of Nabuwa, he got the complete level of Deen. Okay, so like in the efforts of Deen, in the uh, I mean in the period of Makkah, the masjid based efforts was not there because masjid didn't have I mean they didn't have access to the masjid, right? So later Allah took them to Medina where masjid could be built, and I mean masjid based efforts uh, was allowed. They had access to the masjid, and then he taught the masjid based efforts. So in Makkah, talim took place as Darul Arqam. Okay, but that's not the mature type of mature way of talim. In Medina, the masjid-based talim the talim could be performed, and that's actually the mature method of talim taught, right? Taught to ummah. So we need to follow that, not the way Darul Arqam we should do our talim. But well, if there is I mean in some areas there can be some restrictions, we can't use masjid, then well we need to follow the Makkah method, the Darul Arqam. Okay, in that kind of situation. So it got full mature stage. Okay, then so same, so at the end of Nubuwa got, so this efforts of Deen, the whole efforts of Deen has also got full maturity. So in the case of previous prophets, the I mean level was immature, and with this mature method of efforts of Deen, okay, as Deen got the maturity, full maturity, a part of Deen which is the efforts of din, has also got full maturity. And this fully mature method of efforts of din has the impact. Allah kept the impact in this full mature method of efforts of din, that the Hidayah can spread worldwide. Okay. So once one adopts this full mature method of efforts of din, then Allah will give Hidayah worldwide. Okay. So this is something the early prophets also didn't get. They were aspiring to do it. They aspired to do these efforts. Okay, but it was not granted for all of them. Okay, except Isa alayhi salam. So and in the case of this fully mature method, there is Hijra and Nusra. Hijra and Nusra together, okay, which the early prophets didn't get. No other prophets. So only in this fully mature method we have this Hijra Nusra. Okay, Hijra Nusra. So it's Hijra Nusra based method, for which we have all the special reward, radiallahu anhum. Okay. So the impact will be worldwide. So it will, once we do this, once we do the effort in this method, then our responsibility will be fulfilled for the whole world. Otherwise, if we do efforts but in any other method, then we don't fulfill our responsibility over the whole world, but our responsibility is over the whole world. So okay, so we actually lack in fulfilling our responsibility. To properly fulfill the responsibility, we must adopt this method, the method of Sahaba radhiyallahu anhum. Jazakallah.